My neighbor asked to borrow my car for a week and then got mad when I said no. So it's Tuesday afternoon, and I'm sitting at home, minding my business, enjoying a rare day off. My wife's out, and I'm catching up on some yard work when there's a knock at the door. Now, we live in this tight little neighborhood, and I barely know the people around here. Sure, there's the usual, "Hey, how's it going?" or awkward waves when we both step out for the trash at the same time, but no deep conversations, you know? Anyway, I open the door, and there's my neighbor from 2 houses down. We'll call her Neighbor Lady. Creative, I know. I swear I've talked to her maybe twice before this, so she's standing there looking a little flustered. I'm thinking maybe she locked herself out of her house or needs to borrow a lawn tool. Nope, not even close. "Hey, sorry to bother you. So my car's in the shop and it's going to take them a week to fix it." I nod, waiting for her to ask for a ride or something reasonable. "Could I borrow your car for that time?" I kid you not. She asked to borrow my freaking car for a whole week. I blinked at her, trying to process what she just said. Who does that? We aren't even friends like that. "Wait, what?" I stammered. She tilts her head, like I'm the one acting weird. "Well, I really need it. My husband's out of town and I have appointments and errands. It's just for a week." Now, I'm not a jerk. I've lent tools, helped with neighborly stuff. But my car? For a week? I don't even lend my car to my brother unless I'm in the passenger seat. No, I said, trying to be polite but firm. "I can't do that." Her face changes instantly. She goes from polite to pissed. "Are you serious? It's just a car. I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, who expects that?" "Yeah, I'm serious. I can't lend my car for a week. I need it," she huffs, crossing her arms. "It's not like you're using it all the time. I see it parked in the driveway most days." At this point, I'm done being polite. "Look, I don't care how often you see it. It's my car. I need it." She scoffs, shaking her head like I'm being the unreasonable one. "I just thought you'd be neighborly." "Neighborly doesn't mean giving you my car." She stormed off without another word, leaving me standing there, completely dumbfounded. So after that awkward encounter, I thought that was the end of it. She'd cool down, realize she was asking for something ridiculous, and we'd move on. Nope. Things just escalated. The next day, I'm coming home from the store, and as I pull into the driveway, I see Neighbor Lady outside with another neighbor. I can't hear exactly what they're saying, but they keep glancing over at me, and I get that gut feeling. You know, the one that says, "They're talking about you." I brush it off because whatever, right? People talk. But it gets worse. I start noticing the cold shoulders. Neighbors who usually give a nod or wave are suddenly looking away when I walk by. It's like I've been blacklisted from the unofficial neighborhood clique. Even my wife noticed it when she got home later. "I swear the Smiths didn't even look at me when I waved today," she said, puzzled. "Yeah, about that." I proceeded to tell her about Neighbor Lady's request and how I turned her down. My wife's jaw dropped. "She seriously asked to borrow your car for a week, and people are mad at you for saying no?" "Apparently." "That's insane." "All right, so fast forward a week. My wife and I are getting ready for a big day, our freaking wedding reception. Yeah, we had a small private ceremony earlier, but this was the big party with friends and family. We're at the venue, and I'm trying to focus on not sweating through my suit when guess who shows up? Yep, Neighbor Lady. I see her walk in, and I immediately feel my stomach drop. What is she doing here? We didn't invite her. I didn't even know she knew about it. But she's here, looking around like she belongs. Before I can even figure out what's happening, she makes a beeline for me. "Hey, congratulations," she says, all smiles like we're old friends. Thanks," I manage, still trying to process the fact that she's here. Then she drops the bomb. "So, I know today's a big day for you, but I was wondering if I could borrow your car, just for a few hours. I have some errands to run." At my wedding reception, in front of my family. I thought I misheard her. "You want to borrow my car now?" I say, incredulous. She nods, completely serious. "Yeah, I just need it for a few hours. You won't even miss it." My wife walks up at this point, sensing the tension. I tell her what's going on, and she's livid. "You're asking him to borrow his car right now at our wedding reception?" she snaps. Neighbor lady has the audacity to look offended. "I didn't think it was a big deal. You guys are just here for the party, right?" At this point, I'm done being polite. "Get out! You weren't even invited!" She huffs and storms out, but not before saying, "I didn't realize you two were so selfish." So after that fiasco, we try to move on with the reception, but the mood's definitely soured. My wife's pissed, and honestly, so am I. Who shows up at someone's wedding and asks to borrow their car? But here's the kicker. The next day, we start hearing from more neighbors. Apparently, neighbor lady went around telling people we humiliated her at our wedding. She painted this picture of us being rude and unreasonable, making her look like the victim. We've got neighbors calling us, asking what happened. One even suggested we apologize to her for overreacting. Overreacting? It's our car and our wedding. But now, thanks to her, we've got this reputation in the neighborhood as the selfish couple who doesn't help anyone. A couple of days later, I'm out in the yard, trying to cool off from all the drama, when I see her walking down the street. She doesn't say anything at first, but I can tell she's heading my way. "Hey," she says, like nothing's happened. "I just wanted to talk." I don't even let her finish. "Talk about what? How you tried to make me the bad guy for not lending you my car?" She rolls her eyes. "I don't understand why you're making such a big deal about this. It's just a car." "It's my car," I snap. "You don't get to decide what's a big deal when it involves my property." She throws her hands up in frustration. "I just thought neighbors were supposed to help each other out, but clearly I was wrong about you." I stare at her, completely dumbfounded. "You've got some nerve, you know that? You've turned the whole neighborhood against me because I wouldn't give you my car. For a week! Who even asks for that?" She doesn't answer, just gives me this smug look before walking off like she's the one who's been wronged. Update. So, it's been a couple of weeks since all this went down, and things haven't exactly improved. The neighborhood is still giving us the cold shoulder, and it's honestly starting to get to my wife. We had a couple of close friends who we'd invite over for BBQs and drinks, but now they're avoiding us too. One of them even canceled plans last minute, citing family stuff. Yeah, right. It's frustrating as hell, but at this point we've decided to just keep to ourselves. We've got bigger things to worry about than appeasing a bunch of nosy neighbors. Last weekend, neighbor lady strikes again. This time, it's even more ridiculous. She knocked on our door to ask if we could watch her dog while she goes out of town for a few days. Like, are you serious? After everything? I didn't even bother to entertain it. I just said no and closed the door. I'm done with her. We've talked about moving, but it feels ridiculous to let one person chase us out of our home. But man, I didn't sign up for this level of drama when we bought this place. If anything else happens, I'll update again, but hopefully that's the end of it. Friend demands I split my inheritance with them because they deserve it too. I never thought I'd be in this situation. How the hell does this even happen in real life? A few months ago, I inherited a decent amount of money. It wasn't some life-changing fortune, but it was a good chunk that came from a distant relative on my mom's side. I hadn't seen this guy in ages, so it was a shock when I found out I was getting anything at all. I didn't brag about it or anything, but my close circle of friends knew. You know how it is. You mention it casually, and before you know it, everyone's asking how you're gonna spend it. The truth was, I wasn't even thinking about that. The money was just sitting there, while I figured out what to do with it. Then comes my friend. Let's call him F. Out of nowhere, F hits me up, acting like we're best buds again. This is the same guy who ghosted me when I needed help moving apartments last year, mind you. He goes, "Yo, what are you gonna do with that inheritance? Bet you're getting a new car or something, huh?" I didn't want to get into it, so I just shrugged it off. But then, this guy starts getting bold. "I've been thinking," he says. "I've been a good friend, always there for you and stuff. I feel like I deserve a cut of that money." I nearly laughed. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then F starts listing off all these random things, like that one time he let me crash at his place after a party, or when he bought me a sandwich when I forgot my wallet. Really, dude? He's acting like he's been some kind of savior in my life. I told him, that's not how this works, man. The money's from my family, and it's staying in my family. That's when he flipped out. His face turned red, and he started going off about how I was selfish and how he would have totally shared with me if the roles were reversed. Yeah, sure. This is the same guy who still owes me $200 from 3 years ago, but F didn't stop there. He kept sending me texts, harassing me about how unfair I was being. I finally had to block his number after a couple of days. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. A few days after I blocked him, I'm just chilling at home when there's this loud banging on my door. I open it, and there's F, looking like he's about to lose his mind. "Why the fuck did you block me?" he yells, pushing his way into my apartment. I step back, trying to keep my cool, but inside, I'm pissed. "I blocked you because you wouldn't stop harassing me," I said. "I'm not giving you any money. You need to leave." But F wasn't having it. He crossed his arms and stood there like he owned the place. "You owe me," he said, lowering his voice like he was trying to intimidate me. "I've done so much for you, and I deserve at least half of that inheritance." Half. This guy wanted half of my inheritance. I couldn't help it. I started laughing in his face. "You're fucking crazy," I said. "This money is from a family member, not some lottery we won together. You have no claim to any of it." Then he played the pity card. "Dude, I'm struggling. You know I just lost my job and I'm behind on rent. You're seriously gonna let me sink while you got all that money sitting there?" It all made sense then. This wasn't about friendship. It was about him trying to bail himself out of his financial mess. I get that times are tough, but you don't shake down your friends for cash. I told him again to leave, and he stood there for a few seconds, glaring at me, before finally storming out, muttering about how I was a selfish piece of shit. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong, again. The very next day, I start getting calls from mutual friends, asking me what's going on. Apparently, F had gone around telling everyone I'd promised him money and then backed out. He spun this story where he was the victim and I was some rich asshole who refused to help a friend in need. Some of our friends were on my side, but a few actually bought into his bullshit. They were like, "Come on, man, you can afford to help him out. It's not like it'll hurt you." Are you fucking kidding me? I couldn't believe it. I was being painted as the bad guy for not giving away money that F had no right to in the first place. Then, just to make things worse, F started showing up at places where he knew I'd be. Like, I'd go to a bar with friends and there he'd be, sitting across the room, giving me death stares. It was creepy as hell. The final straw came at a mutual friend's barbecue. I tried to avoid F, but he cornered me when I went to grab a drink. He put on this fake friendly act, but I could tell he was itching for a fight. "So, you're still holding out on me, huh?" he asked casually, like we were just chatting. I'd had enough. "I'm not giving you any money," I said, "and if you keep harassing me, I'm calling the cops." That's when F dropped the act. He got right up in my face, his voice low and threatening. "You're gonna regret this. You think you can fuck me over and get away with it?" I saw red. I slammed my beer down and stepped toward him. "Fuck you," I said, loud enough for everyone around us to hear. "You've been harassing me for weeks over money that's got nothing to do with you. You're the one who's gonna regret it." A few people started looking our way, and F must have realized he was making a scene. He backed off, throwing up his hands like I was the one who'd lost it. "You'll see," he said before walking away. A few days later, I get a call from my mom. She's upset because someone told her I'd promised F money and was now backing out of the deal. That fucker had gone and dragged my family into it. That was it for me. I called a lawyer and explained the situation. After a quick consultation, we sent F a cease and desist letter, threatening legal action if he didn't stop spreading lies about me. F must have thought I was bluffing because he ignored it at first. But after a few more days of my lawyer breathing down his neck, he finally started to back off. I haven't heard from him since, but I'm still dealing with the damage he caused. Some people still believe his version of events, and I've had to cut ties with a few friends who took his side without even talking to me. Update. It's been a few weeks since the whole mess with F went down. He's finally out of my life, but not without leaving a trail of bullshit behind him. I had to cut off a bunch of mutual friends who either believed his lies or were just too involved in the drama to be worth the trouble. As for F, I haven't heard from him since the cease and desist. I don't know if he's still out there telling his sob story, but at this point, I don't care. Let him dig his own grave. I've been doing some serious self-reflection since this whole thing went down. I realized that F wasn't just a shitty friend. He was toxic, plain and simple. The kind of person who only hangs around when he thinks he can get something out of you. I've cut off contact with anyone who sided with him. It sucks losing friends, but honestly, I'm better off without them. If they were willing to believe his lies without even talking to me, they weren't real friends to begin with. At the end of the day, I'm grateful for the family inheritance, but more than that, I'm grateful I found out who my real friends are. It's been a hard lesson, but at least now I know who to keep close and who to cut out.